I am my father's lawyer, and I will prove his innocence. You, a black woman, you had better stay silent, or I will send you to the dungeon next to your useless father," the judge roared, striking the gavel, unaware he was committing the worst mistake of his life. "And what is this trash doing in my courtroom?" Judge Donald Waker's voice exploded through the court. Officers had just brought in Abel Torres, a 52-year-old black janitor, chained and silent. Dragged from the basement, Abel hadn't been allowed to speak. "Answer, officer," the judge demanded. "Why is there an undesirable black man in front of me first thing in the morning?" The officer hesitated. "Your Honor, this is Abel Torres, accused of stealing tools from the building where he works." "A janitor?" Waker sneered. "Of course he stole. What else would a black janitor do?" "Clean." Laughter spread through the room. Abel said nothing, though the humiliation burned deeper than the cuffs around his wrists. "Nationality? El Salvadoran. Sir." "A mix of slave and gardener," the judge spat. "Does he have a record?" "No, sir," Abel said quietly. Besides the tools, the prosecutor added, $620 in cash and 2 Samsung phones were reported missing. And where were they found? In the cleaning closet beside his cart. Waker burst into cruel laughter. "Brilliant. Leave them in plain sight. Genius theft." He slammed the file shut. "Look at him. The same it wasn't me face. Always the same." Nobody dared object. "What does the accused say?" the judge asked mockingly. Abel opened his mouth, but Waker laughed again. "This man doesn't need a trial. He needs a cell. Take him away." As Abel was led out, his steps were slow but heavy with centuries of injustice. None of them knew someone was about to walk in who would change everything. The courtroom door slammed open. A young black woman entered, eyes fierce, braids tight, clutching a folder. "Objection, Your Honor." Her voice cut through the air. "What kind of charade is this?" "Who are you?" the judge barked. "I'm the lawyer for my father, Abel Torres." Silence froze the room. "You a lawyer?" he scoffed. "A black woman like you shouldn't even know what law means." "For 5 years," Samantha Torres said, voice trembling with conviction, "I studied in secret. Libraries, forums, anywhere I could. I learned to fight the system that's burying my father not for what he did, but for who he is." The judge laughed nervously. "Listen, little black girl, you're not licensed. I have evidence." She lifted documents, storage logs, magnetic key records, and more. She handed a paper to an officer. "What is this?" the prosecutor asked. "A document signed by the building manager 3 days before the theft, authorizing the head of maintenance to move disused electronics to another storage unit." The prosecutor went pale. The judge frowned. "And that proves that my father was framed. Those items were placed near his cart deliberately." Murmurs erupted. "Silence," the judge shouted. "You're a nobody here." "I have emails," Samantha pressed on, "between the head of security and a committee member discussing how to get rid of black employees the quick way." The judge's face drained of color. "You don't know what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," she said. "And I'm just getting started." "This is absurd," Waker shouted. "A little neighborhood girl telling me the law? You're nothing. Just another loudmouth with black skin." "I'm a citizen with the right to present evidence," she replied. "You have no rights here," he bellowed. "Your people clean our buildings and demand respect." The court fell silent. This trial will not be dictated by an uneducated girl with bad braids. At that, Abel raised his head. His eyes met his daughter's, and pride flickered behind his pain. Samantha took another paper. "I have an email where your name appears, Judge Waker." "What?" he barked. "An email from the building's administration to a law firm discussing a plan to clean up immigrant payrolls, a plan you recommended." "That's a lie," the prosecutor shouted. "I have the domain trace," she said steadily, "and a signed statement from a former secretary who saw you meet them to coordinate this case." Waker took a step back. "You're playing with fire." "No, I'm uncovering what you buried with my father, the truth." The prosecutor stopped smiling. The custody officer avoided eye contact. Samantha's voice rose, filling the courtroom. "This isn't just about my father. It's about every black worker silenced by a system protecting the powerful. Power doesn't make you untouchable." The judge's hand shook as he struck the gavel. "The hearing is suspended." "Get her out." "Try it," Samantha said, unmoving. "Because I have more." He hesitated. Cameras were rolling, people were watching. "Let the record show," he muttered, trembling. "Ms. Torres may speak under supervision, temporarily." She ignored him. "I request permission to question the prosecutor." Murmurs filled the room. "Proceed," Waker growled. Samantha faced the prosecutor, steady. "Mr. Delgado, At what time were the missing items reported? 6:47 p.m., he said. And who had the cleaning shift? Abel Torres. Correct. Now, who entered the storage room at 5:12 p.m.? He read the sheet she handed him. Harold Vance. Position: head of maintenance. Thank you. Samantha turned to the courtroom. The man who entered an hour before the theft was the head of maintenance, not my father. That doesn't prove anything, Delgado said weakly. Samantha's eyes narrowed. She reached into her folder and held up a small cassette. Are you sure? She said quietly. Because I have the security recording from the hallway outside the storage room. Harold Vance is seen entering with a closed box. 15 minutes later, he leaves without it. The prosecutor tried to argue, that doesn't prove what was inside. Here is the inventory report, Samantha said calmly. The box was labeled disused electronics. Phones, tools, everything that was later found beside my father's cart. Her voice didn't shake. It was surgical controlled. The prosecutor's face gleamed with sweat. Do you want to know what else I have? Samantha continued, pulling out another paper. A message sent by Harold Vance to his girlfriend that same night. We finally got rid of the old man. The judge is the boss's friend. Everything will go smoothly. The prosecutor stood abruptly. That could be fabricated. It was verified by a forensic expert, she countered. Here's the statement confirming it came from his phone. Samantha took a step forward. And now listen to this. She pulled out her phone and pressed play. The courtroom filled with voices. If we leave everything in his closet, he won't even notice. And if he complains, we'll believe a black janitor. The sound froze everyone. It was Harold Vance and Prosecutor Delgado himself. Delgado's face drained of color. That recording is manipulated, he whispered. Authenticated 3 times, Samantha replied, showing another stamped document. All eyes shifted from Abel to the judge's bench. Samantha turned slowly. Her father's eyes shone with tears, not of fear, but pride. Judge Waker sat motionless. He didn't blink. He couldn't. His name had been mentioned in the emails, his meetings exposed. The mask of authority he'd worn for years was crumbling before the same people he'd once silenced. Stop the recording, he shouted suddenly, pounding his gavel. This hearing is over. Now, but no one moved. The courtroom had already chosen its side. Someone from the audience shouted, he's no judge, he's a criminal in a robe. The security officers hesitated, waiting for orders that no longer mattered. Then the doors opened again. A group of agents entered, internal affairs. Black uniforms, calm faces, folders in hand. We have a warrant, the lead agent said firmly. Immediate search of Judge Donald Waker's office. Investigation for judicial corruption, systemic racism, and obstruction of justice. The judge stepped back. This is madness, he shouted, but his voice was lost in the uproar. Prosecutor Delgado was handcuffed within seconds. Harold Vance was arrested at his home that same afternoon. And one by one, more names fell. Administrators, lawyers, even other judges, forming a web of corruption that Samantha's courage had exposed. Abel Torres was released that night. No charges, no apology. He simply walked out under the flashing lights of news cameras, his daughter beside him. Reporters shouted questions, but neither of them spoke. 3 weeks later, headlines across the country read, Young black woman dismantles judicial corruption network while defending her father. Samantha didn't give interviews. Instead, she wrote a single line in her old notebook, the same one she used to teach herself law when she was 12. I didn't come to ask for permission. I came to speak for those who can't. A civil rights law firm offered her a full scholarship. She didn't accept immediately. First, she took her father to see the ocean. He had never seen it before. A year later, the courthouse where it all began was closed for renovations. But everyone knew the truth. It hadn't been destroyed by time or age. It had been torn down by something stronger than stone. The voice of a daughter who refused to stay silent, and who proved that truth, courage, and righteous anger could shake an empire built on injustice.